Hi and welcome. My name is Yanni Longa. I'm a lead generation and podcasting consultant. I help consultants, coaches, professionals create and leverage systems that create a consistent stream of organic leads for their business. I've been podcasting since 2014. To date, I have over 400 episodes that have been produced. And in addition to that, I also speak internationally. And joining me is
Timo Lampikoski, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm a LinkedIn expert, career counselor, coach, and published author. And I have written 11 nonfiction books. And I help professionals and entrepreneurs reach their career business goals. And I help professionals optimize their LinkedIn profile and leverage LinkedIn to boost their client base or land the perfect job.
terrific. So, Timo, talking about creating a LinkedIn profile that stand out, I actually wrote down some notes here with some numbers to basically address the question, why using LinkedIn? Because one may be thinking, Jan, Timo, why are you guys talking about LinkedIn instead of whatever other platform really I could use to generate business for my own business? Well, pay close attention to these numbers because for me, they are mind-blowing. As of today, at the time we are recording this, LinkedIn, and I found this from the LinkedIn website, so the source is actually LinkedIn, is approaching the 800 million users mark. Okay, 800 million people, companies are using LinkedIn. Out of those 800 million, 45% of those use it at least monthly. And these stats I found from a website called FindStack. And 45% is around 360 million. So out of 800 million users, 360 million are on LinkedIn at least monthly. And when it comes to using LinkedIn daily, 144 million people or companies are using LinkedIn. So I guess you understand that when it comes to your business, when it comes to, for example, in my case, the work I do quite often, when it comes to generating leads, attracting clients, network, business opportunities, there is a lot that LinkedIn can do for you. Am I right, Timo?
Yeah, totally agree with you. And those are very, very impressive figures. Yeah. So LinkedIn, that's the place to be for solopreneurs and freelancers and consultants and coaches. Yeah, totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that it's important, first of all, to understand why you should have a LinkedIn profile that stands out. And I think the answer is pretty simple, is to make sure that you are unique among the 800 million LinkedIn users, or anyways, among the users who are in your space, so among your competitors. Is there anything else, Timo, you would add if somebody asked you, why should I have a LinkedIn profile that isn't just a profile, but that is a profile that actually stands out?
Yeah, you will actually quite easily stand out of the crowd because I've noticed that most entrepreneurs and professionals have a pretty basic profile. They have just some basic info, just a few sections on their profile, and basically a great number of professionals have actually an unattractive profile, so it doesn't their profiles don't attract prospects.
So you used an interesting verb, which is, you used an interesting word, which is attracting. So what does make for an attractive LinkedIn profile, in your opinion? And I think that it's important to make some distinctions because one may think, well, I need to optimize my profile, but I don't think that optimizing your LinkedIn profile is the only thing you need to do in order to have your profile stand out. Sure, it is very important to optimize your profile, and that's something that we're going to cover in a different video, or if you're listening to us, then in a different podcast episode. But in your opinion, Timo, what are some of the traits that when you are, for example, browsing LinkedIn and you you see different profiles? What are some traits that make you go like, oh, I want to check out what this person or company does?
Yeah, so everything on the top of your profile, those are the most important sections to create an attractive profile. So now we're talking about background image, meaning the backdrop image in LinkedIn language, right on the top of your profile. Then obviously your own picture, your headline just under your name, and finally the fourth important section of your profile to make it attractive is obviously your pitch, meaning the about section.
Yeah, those are if you are in front of your computer, you could actually open LinkedIn app, or even if you have your phone and look at what Timo was discussing. And when it comes to, for example, a profile picture, because you made a very good point. I connect sometimes with people that I may have connected with through a different platform. And then when I look for them on LinkedIn, maybe they have a unique name. So they are the only result that pops up in my search, but they don't have any photo. So I'm wondering, okay, is that the person, or they don't have that much information? And that makes me question whether that's a real profile, even though when asked, are you on LinkedIn? The person told me, yes, I am on LinkedIn. So that's something that sometimes leaves me a bit baffled. So what are your tips for having a good headshot for LinkedIn? And especially, I want to add actually a caveat, because you recently actually changed your profile picture on LinkedIn. So I would like you to also talk about that and what advantages one may get by having a similar change to the one you made, Timo, in case somebody is listening to us already has a good headshot. So first, what, in your opinion, makes a good headshot? And then second, what are some other things one can have other than the headshot? And obviously, I'm winking at you here.
Yeah, thank you. And so it should be professional, portrait type, meaning cropped, something like this. Pretty neutral background. It can be shot outside, by the way, if you're an outdoor person. And a bit smile, both eyes visible. So really look at the lens, look at the camera. So those are the most important things. And as regarding slight change in my profile picture, so just today I shot a short video. So you can too shoot a maximum 30-second pitch that will be on your profile picture. So it will have both your static profile picture and this video.
So the so-called elevator pitch now can be used also as a LinkedIn headshot. And as you said, there is that in combination of the static headshot. And I want to share a tip when it comes to the headshot you pick that I actually learned from a friend of mine called Phil Pallen, who is a personal branding expert and author. Here's the tip. If you are planning, for example, a photo shooting, maybe you're going to a professional photographer, or you have somebody else taking pictures of you, for your website and so forth, and you aren't sure how to go about it, you can try to look at different people, companies you follow. And when you find pictures that you like, you can share those with the photographer. So you could say, for example, about this picture, I really like the overall concept in the background. About this one, I like the angle, so that it actually simplifies his or her job in taking pictures of you. And it's very helpful. I remember I had a good friend of mine taking some pictures. And when I shared this with him, he said, yeah, that's really helpful, because getting into the photo shooting, I knew what you were looking for, so to say. So that's one thing. The second thing is, whenever you have pictures taking, try to always, whenever possible, have them in landscape mode, not portrait, but landscape, not pictures with a vertical orientation, rather a horizontal orientation. Why is that? Is the reason for that? It's simple. If you have pictures that are portrait, so with a vertical orientation, you may not be able to use those as header images on social media, or maybe on your site, you can use that only on certain pages because they don't look good. On the other hand, if you have a landscape picture or picture with an horizontal orientation, you can achieve something vertical if needed by simply cropping the photo. So these are just a couple of quick tips I wanted to share with you when it comes to photography. Now, Timo, for me, another thing that I think it's important when it comes to making your LinkedIn profile stand out is, as you said, everything that is at the top. So the headshot, the header or banner image, and obviously we have the headline and so forth. I also think it's important to have an ongoing active presence on LinkedIn. Because to me, one thing that I do when I connect with somebody or I'm looking to connect, I tend to look at their profile and then I look at their recent activity. Have they done anything? Have they published something? Have they commented on somebody else's post? And sometimes I may connect with people where I see, oh, their last interaction on LinkedIn was, I don't know, 6 months ago. So I may be like, yeah, probably LinkedIn may not be the best platform for this person. So what are your thoughts on making sure to be a constant presence on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's super important to be active on LinkedIn, invite people in your LinkedIn network, start discussing with them, really building relationships. And that was Jan actually a good tip to check it out, their activity. So if they are being there, say 8 months ago, so maybe you won't have a good relationship on LinkedIn, and maybe he or she won't be your next good client. So that's a really useful tip. But as a solopreneur or consultant, you should be active, posting, commenting, liking, sharing with your own comments, by the way. So don't just share other people's comments, because I've heard that LinkedIn will penalize you. It won't thank you for just hitting the share button. So always add your own comments, even if it's only 2 or 3 lines.
Yeah, that's actually very spot on. And I was listening to the podcast of a client of mine recently, and she interviewed somebody who was talking about LinkedIn. And this person said a couple of things that I thought were interesting. Actually, now I'm having a doubt. I'm not sure if it was the same person or it was two different people in 2 episodes of the same podcast. But basically, the 2 things this person or these people shared were the following. The first one was that when you are creating content, somebody has probably created that content in a slightly different form before, or they are doing it right now. The one thing that makes your content unique is your perspective. So what you were talking about, Timo, in terms of actually adding your perspective to something you share, it's very valuable, because if you share without any comments, you are sharing something you found that, sure, you may think, I share it because it's interesting, it's relevant, it's thought-provoking, and that's okay. But if you add even just a couple of sentences, that becomes a unique thing, because it has your perspective that nobody else can have. So that's the first point. The second point that it's tied into what you said, Timo, is, and I've really taken this to heart, and I've been, since I heard it, I was like, yeah, I really need to maximize the use I make of this, and is to start to have a different approach to comments. Oftentimes, we may think that commenting is just a footnote to a post. So I may say, hey, great post, great job, or even have more in-depth comments. But here's the shift I've started to make after listening to this person. He said, think of comments as content. So when you are on LinkedIn, try to make sure that you consistently actually comment, leave comments, you connect with other people, and think of that as content. Because if you do so, you are gonna start to see some results, some engagements, profile views, connection requests, and so forth. So I think it's important to, when it comes to being active and that contributing to your profile standing out on LinkedIn, it's important to think about the content you create, the content of other people, other sources you share. So your content curation. And then also this third piece that I just discussed, the commenting and seeing that as part of your content strategy. What are your thoughts, Timo? Because obviously you are very active on LinkedIn and I see you commenting often. So do you think it's something that makes sense to really try to make sure that whenever we're using LinkedIn, we allocate a sort of percentage of the time that we dedicate to our LinkedIn efforts to commenting?
Yeah, another great tip. Yeah, totally agree. And you can actually have a call to action at the end of your comment. So it could be a question to prompt answers from your network. It could be something like, let's discuss this. So yeah, and by the way, always when you comment, so people can, your connections and people, other people on LinkedIn, they can see the first line of your headline. So that's really valuable. So they can see your good basic message, and maybe we can discuss how to create a compelling headline in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I think we should do an entire video or podcast episode on optimizing your LinkedIn profile, because I think there are different pieces of the puzzle that are worth discussing. But yeah, let's talk about the headline, because as you said, Timo, is not valuable only as the, let's say, as the sign on our profile, but it's useful also because when we comment, people see the first sentence. So Timo, I'm a foodie, I know you like food as well. So if we were to cook the ideal LinkedIn profile headline, what are the ingredients that you would include?
Yeah, the first and the most important ingredient would be your service promise. So I would start with your service promise, as we actually have done. If you guys take a look at our headline, how we start our headline, what is the first ingredient on our headline, and then I would add your top skills. So this headline, obviously, it has a limited space of characters, a limited number of characters available. Those are my two most important ingredients on your headline. Would you add, Jan? Would you add something?
Yeah, first of all, I would add one comment that it's important. If you're here with Timo and I, remember this, that some of the things we're discussing, because we're talking about a platform, in this case, LinkedIn, we are discussing them for how they are right now. So depending on when you're listening to us or watching us, some of these things may, or the steps you need to carry out to achieve certain things may be slightly different. So just keep this in mind. Now, I second what you said. I think having the service promise and your top, basically your zone of genius, some of your top skills, it's a good approach. I have seen different people in different books, courses, and things like that having a formula that it's very simple, but it's very useful. And it really helps your headline say who you, what you kind of, where your work focuses on, who you work with, and what you help them with. So typically, this headline structure would be something along the lines of I help, and then you have your target market. For example, I help uh, business coaches, and then what do you help them do? So it could be I help business coaches generate leads organically. So I help blank do blank. And then depending on the, because you said it, there are some character limitations. So depending on how much space you have used and you have left, you could even add more details to that. So it may be like, I help business coaches generate leads organically by using nothing but LinkedIn, for example. So depending on the space you have available, you could have something like this. And then, as Timo said, may have some of your top skills. So in my case, it could be lead generation, prospecting, podcasting, whatever it's most relevant to you. As we said, Timo, it makes sense to have an entire video or podcast episode focused on optimizing one's LinkedIn profile. So we need to make sure that we cover that. We are about to wrap things up here, but I wanted to see, do you have any final things that you want to share when it comes to creating a LinkedIn profile that stands out among the, as we said, 800 or almost 800 million users out there?
Yes, I do. So you may want to add your achievements on your headline. For example, in my case, as I'm a published author, so it's on my headline to create sort of authority and your expert status. And Yang, you also have in a very good nutshell your achievements in your headline, I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. That's a space you can add that. I think that the header image or cover image, it's another space you may want to have those if it makes sense. And then another space that sometimes I think it's underutilized that you can use to showcase how you work, achievements you've received or awards you have won and things like that is the featured section. So if you want to build social proof, that's an excellent area of your LinkedIn profile where you can add things. So for example, for me, and I always try to update my LinkedIn profile. So there are, for example, some things I want to add to the feature section there, but I have a list of articles that featured me on different publications like Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, and so forth. So I would say that the featured section of one's LinkedIn profile makes sense to really make the most of. So to make a short recap here, if you want to, I mean, remember, there is almost 800 million users on LinkedIn. So it's important that you just don't create a profile and let it sit there, but you try to create a profile that stands out, that it's actually a magnet that attracts those that you want to talk to and do business with. So you want to, as you, Timo, said, focus on everything that is at the top of your profile. So that's obviously, first of all, your name, make sure that that's there, your headshot. You also mentioned now, Timo, the ability of having up to a 30-second video as the headshot, which is great. The header image, it's something you can leverage. And then you have the headline, we have the about section, and now I mentioned the featured section. Make sure that you're active because people are going to see that in the activity part of your LinkedIn profile. Remember that your perspective or adding your perspective to content created by somebody else, content you curate, makes that unique. And don't forget to start to approach commenting as part of your content strategy. Now, actually, to help you make sure that you check all the boxes with your profile, we have some next steps that can really help you make that happen. If you would like to take what you've learned in this video, implement it, and not only that, but also enhance it, take it to the next level, then our up-level LinkedIn course is for you. It's a free course that you can sign up for right now. If you head over to jo.my/up-level course, again, that link is jo.my/up-level course. Just head over there, sign up, dive into it, and take your LinkedIn efforts to the next level.